The shot came out of nowhere, louder than the warm summer air should have allowed. It didn't just crack the stillness of the park. It cracked something in me. I was 13, holding the leash of my best friend, a goofy golden mutt named Ranger, when Officer Kyle Mercer stepped out from his cruiser. One bark, just one, and Ranger dropped like the ground had swallowed him. I froze, the nylon strap still looped around my hand. My ears rang. My vision blurred, but my voice came back in a scream I barely recognized as mine. "Why did you shoot him?" Mercer didn't even flinch. "Dog was aggressive," he said flatly, sliding his weapon back into its holster like he'd just finished a chore. He was wagging his tail. I shot back, my words shaking. "You should have had him on a proper leash," he said, already turning away. I was on my knees before Ranger, my shorts soaking in his blood. The other cop, Officer Grant, looked like he wanted to say something, even stepped toward me, but his eyes darted to Mercer, then to the blinking red light on their dash cam. And just like that, he turned his back. No first aid, no call to animal control. They just drove away. I didn't call 911. That part of me, the part that thought they might help, was gone. I called my dad. He answered on the second ring. "Lena." His voice was calm, the same steady tone he used at city meetings. Being the mayor never left his voice, even at home. "They shot him," I whispered. "Daddy, he didn't do anything." There was a long pause. "Who did the cop?" "The white one. He didn't ask for details. Didn't say it must have been a mistake. Just told me, stay where you are. I'm coming." By the time he arrived, Ranger's body was gone. No witnesses, no statements. Just me sitting cross-legged in the grass, holding his collar like it was the only thing keeping my world from collapsing. Dad knelt beside me. "Did you get their names, Mercer and Grant?" Mercer shot. Grant watched. He clenched his jaw so hard I thought his teeth might crack. That night, he watched a clip a neighbor had sent from their doorbell camera. Ranger wasn't lunging, wasn't growling, just standing there. Then bang, collapse. He called the police chief, Carla Denton. She started in with the polished voice, the "let's not politicize this" voice. Told him to let internal affairs review it. He cut her off. "There is no review. They didn't even file a report." She warned him not to escalate, said there were already protests brewing over another case in the next county. He hung up without saying goodbye. By 8 the next morning, every inbox in the police department got an email from the mayor's office, Citywide warrant for the arrest of Officer Kyle Mercer and anyone involved in covering up the Elmwood Park shooting. No press release. Just a scanned note with his handwriting at the bottom. "If you won't protect my kid, I'll protect every kid you failed." Crescent Bay was the kind of coastal town that liked its silence. Smiling neighbors' porch swings, and an unspoken rule: when something ugly happened, you whispered it away. My dad had run his campaign on breaking that silence. Now it was trying to swallow him whole. The city paper ignored the warrant. The lead story that day: a piece on water rates. When he confronted Denton in person, she sat flanked by some city lawyer and said, "You issued a warrant without consulting the department. That's a violation. Procedures didn't protect my daughter," he told her. She reminded him that Mercer had decades of service and warned about media pressure. Internal Affairs buried 7 complaints against him, Dad said, sliding a folder across the table. One from a 10-year-old boy whose arm he twisted until it popped because he was skipping school. Her jaw tightened. The lawyer called them unsubstantiated. Dad leaned back. "Do you know what it takes for a kid to file a complaint against a cop? Do you know what it takes for them to still believe someone might listen?" A week later, an officer from inside the department handed Dad a grainy hallway video. Mercer laughing with 2 others, bragging about shooting a Doberman the year before and writing imminent threat in the report so it would get rubber stamped. Dad's voice when he watched it, not loud, not even angry, just cold. "We're going public." The match hit gasoline 2 days later when a 17-year-old IT intern from the PD, kid named Corey, dropped the dash cam footage. Ranger walking beside me, tail wagging. Mercer getting out, asking if I lived here. I answered yes, started to say my dad's name, and he cut me off leash that animal. I held up the leash. He's already bang. The video was 22 seconds long. It hit social media and the whole city lit up. Protests outside the station. National news trucks on Main Street. Chief Denton tried to get ahead of it, but when Captain Monroe, half black, 30 years on the force, looked her in the eye and said, "It looks like what it is, the air in the room shifted." Dad didn't wear a suit to his press conference. Just jeans, a windbreaker, and a photo of me holding Ranger as a puppy. He didn't use the podium. My daughter didn't threaten anyone. She wasn't suspicious. She was walking her best friend. And your officer ended that with a bullet. Someone yelled, "Shame." Someone else yelled, "Support the blue." Dad didn't flinch. What's worse isn't just what happened. It's the system that let him act without fear of consequence. If you think silence will protect, you know this. Your silence is now on record. That same afternoon, Internal Affairs put Mercer in cuffs. He stared straight ahead, not a word. But arresting one man didn't change the fact that this city had rotten its bones. Then came the bigger gut punch documents showing Mercer had specifically requested patrol near my school, signed off by Chief Denton. A week later, Officer Grant, yeah, the one who'd stood there, testified in a public hearing. Ranger barked once. Mercer pulled his gun without warning. I froze. I didn't speak up. I failed. Councilwoman Lee asked why he hadn't come forward sooner. He didn't blink. Because this department doesn't reward truth. It buries it. When the room erupted, Dad just looked at me. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. But for the first time since that day, I felt seen. Jada, a local reporter Dad trusted, dug deeper and found an old memo from his first week as mayor, one he'd signed without reading closely, that basically promised to play nice with the department to avoid backlash. She brought it to him. "You knew. I was scared to make enemies," he admitted. "Thought I had to pick my battles. I picked wrong." The next morning he stood outside the station. No notice, no permits, holding that memo. I thought I was keeping the peace. What I did was make space for violence. There will be no more secrecy. I'm ordering a full external audit of the Crescent Bay Police Department. And I'm calling for Chief Denton's resignation. As if the universe had cued it, Denton walked into the crowd, handed a typed letter to the press, and left without a word. That night, Dad and I sat at the kitchen table working on something we called the Ranger Act. It said, officers couldn't patrol schools without training in adolescent psychology, that any use of force against a minor triggered an automatic investigation, and if you killed someone or something without cause, your badge wouldn't protect you. When I read it aloud at a candlelight vigil, I didn't ask for sympathy. I asked for attention. Some people clapped, others scowled. The city council passed it by one vote. Blue flag lawns sprouted in protest. Dad got letters, some supportive, some threatening. One read, "Your kid's life wasn't worth a career." He never showed me. Mercer went to trial. The jury found him guilty, reckless endangerment, obstruction, falsifying reports. A year later, there's a plaque at Elmwood Park. It says, "For those who had no voice." And under it, "In memory of Ranger." We didn't invite cameras to the unveiling, just neighbors, teachers, a few officers. I laid Ranger's collar at those base. Didn't cry, didn't smile, just stood there. On the way home, I asked Dad, "You think this ends with Mercer?" He shook his head. "No, he was just the part we could see. So we keep going." And now I'm asking you, watching this, hearing this, when the choice is between silence that keeps you safe and truth that might burn everything down, which one would you choose? Because in Crescent Bay, we finally chose to speak, and I hope to God we don't forget how. What about you? Have you ever seen silence protect someone who didn't deserve it, or seen the truth cost more than you thought you could pay? Tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it.